All right, Lane, we got a special guest on the podcast. You are a two-time Whoa, That's Good legend because you just gave such good advice in the first one. I had to have you back. Welcome back, Laney Rene, to the Whoa, That's Good podcast.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited.
I feel like we have to do a podcast in order to talk these days. We try to.
I know, literally. It's probably going to be our longest conversation because
I know.
Now you have a baby, which is what I'm so excited to talk to you about. So currently, when this podcast goes live, I will have hopefully have had our baby, and this will be speaking to all the moms out there. But before I get into motherhood, I need some advice. So, Lane, give me the best piece of mother advice that you have for me.
Okay, so since this is the one question, actually I knew you were going to ask two questions. I was like, God, what is the best advice I have to give? And early on in my pregnancy with Ronnie Grace, I was having a extreme moment of fear, and it came in like my biggest moment of excitement. It was right when I was going to tell my parents that we were pregnant. And I walked back into my mom's closet, and I just felt this extreme presence of fear. And I don't know. I was like, what in the world? Like, I'm so excited. Why do I feel this fear? And my mom came back in the closet, and of course, my motherly advice comes from my mom. And she said, Laney, do not yield to fear. And she just kept saying it. She said, Laney, do not yield to fear. Wow. Do not yield to fear. And she kept saying it over and over me, and over and over. And while she was saying it, I felt like it was literally washing over me, and the fear started to leave. Wow. And when I felt like I heard that this morning and was reminded of that, I was reminded also that is scriptural. And Isaiah 41:10 says, do not yield to fear, for I am always near. Never turn your gaze from me, for I am your faithful God. I will infuse you with my strength and help you in every situation. I will hold you firmly with my victorious right hand.
Wow, come on.
And this is like the best. I was like, this is the best thing I can give, because one, it's not truly from me, it's from Jesus. And also, there are so many moments already, like just being pregnant before you even, I feel like, become a mom. And people who've been moms for many years, I feel like, can testify of this. There are so many opportunities to fear. Yeah. And there's so many people around you going to be doing different things. And it's just like, when you turn your gaze from me, or never turn your gaze from me, for I am your faithful God. Yeah. And I feel like that's just like, don't turn your eyes from him.
So
don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Don't look at what other moms are doing. Don't look at what other kids are doing, or how they're progressing, or maybe how smart they are. And don't look at your kid and go, oh, what's wrong with you? Right. Don't turn your gaze from him. Yep. That's so good. Yeah,
I love that.
That's the best I got.
Hey, that's the best I could receive, because honestly, I've already dealt with some of that, and I shared this with you, but for the listeners, like, it was the weirdest thing. It was similar to you. Like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was so excited, and I was just like jumping up and down, literally physically jumping up and down, and I was like smiling and crying and like all just like the best emotions. Then I told Christian, and I was so excited, and everything was great. And then it was just like, it had to have been like the next day or something. I just immediately got like afraid. Like, what if something happens? What if, we go in and there's not a heartbeat or something, that something's wrong with the baby. And those fears are like actually reality for a lot of people. It's not like that's like a crazy thing to think about. But it is yielding yourself to something that you have no control over. It's like saying, I'm just going to give in to fear, and I'm just going to worry about this when I actually have no control. And I remember opening up to my Bible study group about this. And the reason I was afraid of that is because one of our friends had just walked through that happening where they didn't have a heartbeat. Another friend just walked through a miscarriage. And so I felt like rationalized with my fear, but at the same time, like I still didn't need to be afraid, because it's kind of that moment where you have to say, God, even if this happens, she's not mine, she's yours. And I remember, well, at the time I didn't know if it was she or he, but they're not mine, they're yours. And I remember opening up to Mary Kate about it in my Bible study group, and Mary Kate said, Sadie, here's the thing. She said, I went through fear in my first pregnancy, and you know what shocked me is that when I had John Shepherd, it didn't go away. She said it just got worse. And she was like, if you don't surrender it now, it's never going to go away. And I think that we think that way. We're like, oh, well, whenever I see the heartbeat, it'll be better. Whenever I see the baby. But if you don't surrender it, it will just, the next phase will bring another thing.
Literally what you're talking about is the exact fear that I was dealing with when I walked into the closet. It was like, what if there's no heartbeat? And I will say, like, when I went in I was 16 days late to have her, you know that. But even at my last checkup, when they went to listen to her heartbeat, there was still that opportunity to fear. Like, I still felt the, no. And I had to remind myself, do not yield to fear.
That is so good. That's going to be an anthem in people's life. I already know it. Well, on a lighter note, you guys just came and visited us recently. It was the first time for us to meet Ronnie Grace, and she's just absolutely beautiful and so fun. But it was so funny because Christian and I both had an outfit change because I knew we were talking about this. Ronnie struck twice. So I have to tell the story. First of all, Christian hasn't really spent that much time around babies, and so he was like, just, you know, this was great for him. He needed this to happen. And so he's like holding her and is being all sweet. And then, you know, we start to hear something that, you know, a little alarming. And next thing we know, Christian hands her back to Laney, and Christian has poop all over his shirt. So welcome to Dadhood, Christian. Then about 2 hours later, we're just chilling. And, you know, she's wet again. And so Laney says, why don't you guys change the diaper? Because y'all need practice. And honestly, we hadn't changed the diaper before. And you know, people assume that I've like had all this experience with babies, but you know, if you have like nieces and nephews, you're not the one that has to change the diaper.
No.
So I didn't babysit whenever I was in high school. Like, that's when Dynasty was at its height. So like that wasn't a thing. So I really actually hadn't changed the diaper. So I was like, oh gosh. So we go in and we're changing the diaper, and as I'm changing sweet little Ronnie Grace's diaper, she just pees literally all over me. To the point that like my leggings were drenched. So Ronnie really gave us a good run for our money. So my question to you is practically, how many diapers do you actually change a day?
Oh, okay. Like in the first week or two, we were changing probably 6 or 7 diapers a day because she just went like crazy.
Oh gosh.
But they say like you add a diaper a day when they're little. Okay. So at day 5, she was definitely having 5 diapers.
My gosh, that is
but
crazy.
With her, here's the thing. She does what she did with you, and she'll need like several diapers for one change because she keeps going while you're changing her.
I never like...
She feels the wind.
I was not ready for that. I knew that like, you know, little boys do that, but I never heard little girls do that. So I was just not even shielded at all. And it was just like, what is happening? But the best thing was that night, Christian and I get in bed, and Christian's been so optimistic about this whole thing, in which he should be. It's so sweet, but he doesn't think like, you know, if I say like, okay, just know like the first 2 weeks it's gonna be kind of hard, he's like, no babe, it's gonna be amazing. And I'm like, yes, it is gonna be amazing, but it's also gonna be a little hard. He like refuses to say anything that's like hard or whatever. So
me and Clayton had those same,
which, I mean, how could he? He's never been around a baby. So then that night he looks over at me in bed, he goes, Sadie, we have to get sleep while we can. And he was so serious. He's like, everything is about to change. So Ronnie really showed Christian what it's going to be like to be a dad.
And that's true. It is about to change.
Yeah.
But in the best, very best way.
In the best way. I can't wait.
Yes.
All right, guys, are y'all still going to the post office and spending full price on all things postage? Well, don't do that anymore because Stamps.com has something better to offer you. Mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer. You can send letters, ship packages, and pay less, actually a lot less, with discounted rates from USPS, UPS, and more. Stamps.com saves businesses so much money and so much time. I think that's the best part of this whole thing, is that you're not only saving money, but you're actually just saving time. And we all know that in business, time is of so much value. Stamps.com is amazing. Actually, my dad's business, Duck Commander, has been using this for a long time. Saving time, saving money. Simply use your computer to print official US postage 24/7 for any letter, any package, any class of mail, anywhere you want to send it. Once your mail is ready to schedule a pickup or drop off, it's just that simple. With Stamps.com, you get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and 66% off UPS shipping rates. So stop wasting time going to the post office and go to Stamps.com instead. There's zero risk involved, and with my promo code WHOA, you can get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts, so you don't have to worry there. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in WHOA. That's Stamps.com, promo code WHOA. Stamps.com, never go to the post office again. One of my questions for you was, what are some of the things that you've seen in Clayton that maybe y'all's marriage has been challenged in, but also strengthened by since being parents together?
Yesterday he asked me, okay, so it's really hard for him to watch her cry.
Yeah.
And that sounds like it's not hard for me. It is hard for me, but I think I did have more experience, obviously, babysitting.
Just
and
more
stuff.
understanding.
And with nieces and nephews, I was expecting her, she's a baby, she's gonna cry.
Right.
Whereas for him, he's like, she's crying. Why is she crying? And if he can't get her to stop, it makes him feel like he's doing something wrong. And so we've had a lot of conversations of babe, she's gonna cry and that's okay. Sometimes babies cry and there's no reason. Sometimes they need to be changed. Sometimes, they're hungry or whatever. But on a just a more serious note, it has been really cool in that way also to experience, people always say you kind of can experience God's heart even more and his love for us when you're a parent.
Yep.
And I've definitely seen that to be true, because even something like that, he hates for her to cry, and he's her dad and her father.
Sweet.
And so looking at her and caring for her in that way, it breaks his heart that she's crying. Mm-hmm. And so just knowing and also for me, in the same way, when I look at her, if I look at her, well, really, when I look at her, I'm there's nothing she could ever do that would make me not proud of her.
That's so sweet. Yeah.
I can't imagine ever not being proud of her.
That's so
and I love her. I can't even put my love for her into words. And I was actually thinking about this earlier too. With that, it can be well, she's your daughter. How does that just correlate, I guess, with God's love for us? In a way, sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's another thing with pregnancy. You lose your train of thought.
No, I already do that all the time. That's why
it was really good too. Oh, I know what it is. Okay.
Yes.
I love her that way. And in the same way, we're made in the image of God. So the love that I have for her is straight from him in the first place.
It's awesome.
Any love I have for her is already from him. And
That's
so
awesome.
what I feel towards her, I can see that, he feels that way towards me.
Wow. That is so cool.
He would never not be proud of me.
Right.
There's nothing I could ever do to make him not proud of me. So.
That's beautiful. That's so cool. That was actually something I was going to ask you, something that you've learned about God's love for you as a parent. Because for me, I feel it's so cool. It's not, I feel in one sense you could say it's you're co-parenting with God, but really he's your parent the whole way. It's just how you learn advice from your mom, you learn about, things about God because he's your father. He's your parent in a sense. And just the other day, it was so cool because I feel I had one of my first experiences like that where somebody on Instagram, actually, I haven't even told you this yet, and I'm just going to say it to the public right now, which it won't be outside she's born anyways, but somebody created an Instagram page with like her name, and I haven't announced her name. You know that. Not announced her name, and somebody happened to find out what her name was and made an account. And I was like so upset, and I was like so bothered, and just confused how they found out, but then also just bothered by there being like it just felt like somebody took her little identity, like, no, you can't post like, and they said it was just supposed to be a fan page, but I was like, but they didn't put fan page, so I was like, that's her name, like, don't take her name and all this stuff. And I just remember, but at first the person wasn't responding, and they weren't, so I didn't know if it was like a creepy person or who this was or whatever. And I just remember like hearing the Lord say like, I'm her protector, and like, I'm her protector, just like I'm yours. And like, He has been my protector. And you know how I've walked through weird things with Instagram and social media and that's why it broke my heart, because I couldn't stop crying, because I was like, I know how much this is hurting me. I don't want this to hurt her. I don't want her to feel the same way. But then I realized in that moment that the same God who has been there for me in all those times and comforted me and been my protector and honestly been my defender is her defender and her protector and her comforter too. And just as much as that moment I couldn't control, like, He was there. And so it's so nice to know that like parenting isn't all up to us. Like, God is still the same God and the Father to them as He is to us, and we've seen that come through so many times. So that's so cool that you said that. It's so crazy. Literally, like, the things that I wrote down and talked to you about, like, you just like crushed in like 5 seconds.
Oh, that's cool.
But one of the things I was going to talk to you about in a funny way is, okay, so everybody knows we're crazy, and we pretty much put like all of our weirdness out on the internet for the whole world to see. And so I was wondering, because Christian literally asked me this, are you going to be like as crazy as you are in front of your daughter? Like, will you be weird, or will you try to control it?
Yes. No, I think I'll be weird.
Me too.
Yeah, you can't, like, I feel like when you're really weird, you can't really hide it.
No.
Like, Clay told me the other day, I don't know if Christian has said this kind of stuff to you, but he told me, he was like, early on, you said and did some things that I was like, that's really weird.
Yes.
But I thought it was hilarious. And they're the things now that he thinks are really funny.
Exactly.
So I'm definitely going to be weird.
Okay, no,
I think she needs to know it's okay to be weird.
She
and
needs
funny
to know, because you sent me that DM the other day, and it was like this mom driving through her, like dropping her kids off at school, and she was just like listening to just like very casual worship music, and she's being like, very just gentle, meek, and then she pulls out and she's like jamming and like dancing, and Christian's like, that is so you. And I was like, but you know what, Christian? I was like, that is me, but I don't know that I'm not gonna be also doing that with her in the seat right beside me. Like, I said, like, I hope we have like choreographed dance moves that like we do together. So that makes me feel better.
That's funny.
I'm not the only one. Well, I know people are gonna be wanting to hear your birth story, and I know it's a heavier topic because you went through a lot in labor, but I also know that God is so victorious in your story, and I wanted you to share whatever you want to share with the listeners. Sure. Because I think it'll help a lot of people, and I think, it helps me even just preparing for labor. It's a scary thing, and it's, it's going to be painful. Yours was certainly not easy, but knowing that God was there is huge. So I would love for you to share. Yeah.
So my birth, her birth, my labor, however you want to word it, was definitely like, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it was also the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. And her birth was 55 hours, and that is not normal. So if you're pregnant, like, or if you have experienced that, that it's not a normal thing to have a 55-hour labor. But so I had the first 2 days were just we're at home. I was having her at a birth center, and so I labored at home for the first 2 days, and those were like 2 of the hardest, darkest days, I guess. Like, that sounds so like, I don't know, but they were just really mentally hard. I was dealing with a lot of fear, and it was like when I look at my birth now, I kind of look at it as like the 2 days and then a day of like life and victory, and the first two were just really hard. But labor started on Wednesday night, and my contractions were like 5 to 6 minutes apart. And then I had her Saturday morning at like 5:22.
Dang. All right, guys, have you ever had the moment where your sock slips down on your shoe and it's there all day and it's so annoying you want to change it but you can't? Yeah, that is actually super annoying. But I'm going to tell you about some socks that will not do that to you, because these are the best socks. I'm not even kidding with you. I love these socks. Christian and I both wear them. Feature socks. They are designed for greatness. They're literally designed to perform at your best. You need to feel your best from head to toe to perform your best, and they will help you with that. I love Features because they stay on your feet. They hug your foot, super comfortable. I love them on walks or playing tennis, but I'm actually even wearing them today. So Features, is kind of with you no matter what you're doing in your day-to-day life. Features is literally obsessed with making the perfect sock, and you'll quickly become obsessed with their sock because you'll realize how much they put into it. It's a family-owned business, and their mission is to help you achieve your personal best, and that they do. There's also a lifetime guarantee. Features are so durable and long-lasting that if you're unsatisfied at any point, they'll actually give you a replacement pair. No questions asked, guaranteed to be the best sock you've ever worn. That's pretty bold, but that's pretty great that they would literally give you your money back if you don't like them. Features is challenging you to try a pair, and if they're not the best socks you've ever worn, they'll take them back. They're so confident you'll love their socks, so they're going to also give the Well That's Good listeners $10 off your first pair of Features when you go to features.com/whoa. That's FEETURES.com/whoa, WHOA, for $10 off your first pair of Features.
So it was long, but here's the thing. I'll go ahead and say this before I kind of give more details. My sister asked me, what the word that we felt like we were supposed to pray over her birth was supernatural. And so when you hear supernatural childbirth, normally like that's in a form of no pain. But when we felt to pray that over her birth, I just felt like I kept hearing God say, don't put a definition on it. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like that allowed me to go through it and honestly now not be disappointed. Mm-hmm. But it's allowed me to see it all as supernatural and absolutely amazing. And my sister asked me, she said, after going through what you went through, looking back, would you choose the birth that you had, or would you choose a supernatural pain-free birth? And I said, I'd choose what God gave me. And because I got to see him in it. Mm-hmm. And it was, like I said, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through, but it has been so cool after the fact to see God show me who he was in every moment that I thought like he's not there. Like mm-hmm. I asked questions that I've never asked before in my life. And I was like, God, where are you?
Yeah.
Like, where are you in all this? I do not feel you. I do not see you. Yeah. Where are you? And like after now, like he's been showing me I was right here. Wow. I was here in this moment. And so
wow.
When I came home from, I'm kind of like going to jump around because that's how my brain works now. But when we walked back into the house after having her, I was like really afraid to come back inside. And because I had labored at the house so much and it was hard, and I would like see walls that I remember kind of like leaning on, trying to get through a contraction and stuff. And Clayton looked at me and he goes, we're going to carry her around to every place of pain. And so we took Ronnie, we took the gift that he gave us, his miracle, supernatural miracle and blessing, and went and walked around to every place that I could remember pain. And I feel like a new person. Like after giving birth and like having her and experiencing that miracle and I just feel like our faith has gone to a whole new place.
Wow.
And I've told him, like, I feel new. I see new. Like, our house looks new to me. It's really weird to
That's
explain, but I
amazing.
actually feel like my eyes have changed.
Wow.
And something that was really cool, even like after experiencing just such 3 days, I guess, of labor, and knowing that, feeling like God's showing us where he was and my faith growing. There was a day that my chiropractor was like a huge part of her birth, and she came over a couple days after and just spent some time talking to me, and we just started just talking about where he was in each moment, and God was showing her things about me even during labor, which was
Wow.
so cool.
That's
now
so
to go
cool.
back and see. But she said, sorry, I lost my train of thought again. This is, there's so much. Shoot, what was it?
I love it. You're good.
Oh man, it's really good.
You will think of it. You know what's funny? You know how I never like use notes to like preach or do anything? Now, the
Yeah.
past 2 weeks, I've had to have like literally almost word for word notes, because when I say the Bible character's name, I say all of them wrong. Like, I'm meaning to
Oh my
say Jacob, I
gosh.
say Joseph. I'm meaning to say Rachel, I say Rebecca. Like, I've been so off. So I totally understand. That is real.
Newborn brain is a thing too. Okay, I just remembered.
Good.
Thank you. Okay, so we were in my room, like, after she had come over and talked to me, and she left, and then my dad came over after that, and my dad was having palsy, like, in his face, and I don't know if you know exactly what that is, but I think we talked about it actually.
Yeah, like
so
half
it's
of
where
your
like
face.
half of his face completely just didn't work. Like it was numb. And normally that can either last your whole life, or it can last 3 weeks, 3 months, a year, whatever. And he had just had it for like a week, and he came over, and there was just such like faith in the room after just experiencing that and seeing God carry us through. Before he left, I was like, he cannot leave and we don't pray for him.
Wow.
So we prayed over him, and then the next morning his face was like 95% better.
Wow.
And it completely went away.
That is amazing. Come
isn't
on.
that crazy?
That's so cool.
It was so awesome. But that's just to say, I can go back to the birth story some, but it's just seeing God carry us through that, and knowing that it was hard, but also just seeing him in it so good has changed my life.
It built your faith. That's incredible.
It did. It really did.
That is so cool. I love that. And I can see it in you. Like, you have such an ease as a new mom. Like, a lot of moms, when they're new moms, which, no shame, it's hard, it's crazy, but I feel like you just saw God in such a tangible way that you have such an ease as you've been walking about, and it's been beautiful to see, and I've learned a lot already from you as a mom. But I guess the last question, because I think there's so much in here that people are gonna love and be inspired by, but
can I say one thing to wrap that up? And we'll go back. What I will say changed, and I don't feel like I got to this. I talked about the 2 days being hard. What changed on the third day was, before we went to the birth center, I was like at the end of myself, and I looked at my doula and my husband, and I said, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. And my mom came, and we called my midwife, and I said, I cannot do this. And she said, why don't you come into the birth center and we'll go from there. And when my mom showed up, we got in the car, and the whole way to the birth center, all she did was say Jesus. And she just kept saying Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I remember sitting there, and by that point I hadn't eaten, I hadn't slept. And I was so exhausted, and truly just really like the most at the end of myself I've ever been in my life. And I kept like just going like this, like, Mom, say it, say his name in my ear. I don't even have the strength to say his name. And when we got to the birth center, that is what changed, and that is what happened.
Wow.
People surrounded me, and they just spoke his name over me, and everything truly changed. And it wasn't that they thought I wasn't having contractions the whole way to the birth center. I was having them 3 minutes apart still.
Wow.
But it just he
shifted things.
His peace came and completely changed everything.
Wow.
So
my gosh.
I just didn't want to move
No, that's so
forward.
important. And the thing
Talking about
is,
what really mattered and how it did completely change.
that's so powerful. I'm so glad you shared that, because that's relatable to anybody, whether you're going through labor or just a really hard season of your life. Like, things change whenever you lean upon your community or your people, and somebody else maybe has faith for you, you know, faith to believe the things that maybe it's hard for you to believe in the moment, or you're tired and you're hungry and like you just physically can't speak out in the moment. And so I think that's a testimony to anybody, no matter what people are walking through. Mom or not a mom, a man, I don't care who you are. Sometimes you need people to say Jesus with you. Well, the last thing I wanted to ask you and talk to you about is, like I said, you've gone through pregnancy with such an ease, and even after pregnancy with an ease. And I know that's because Jesus is your strength. But also, like, I know there are nights that you are tired, and let's be real, like, there's milk everywhere, and things are painful, and things are real. And like, for the new mom who is like, I'm exhausted, this is crazy. What keeps you going in those moments? And what do you tell yourself, or Clayton tells you, that encourages you to get past those long nights or those painful moments? Because I know you've wrestled with just the pain, the after pain for a few weeks, and that's hard, but you've done it with ease. So what is some of those things that you've encouraged yourself and Clayton?
This is really cool. So I wrote something down earlier, and I was like, I felt like God was literally just speaking to me, and I thought we were almost done. I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to share that, but this is the perfect moment. So I wrote down advice for like new moms and stuff. And I just felt like I heard, it's okay to not have it all together or feel like you know what you're doing. For where you are weak, that is where he is strong. So boast all the more gladly and loudly in your weakness. He will show you what to do. And the Holy Spirit is not a formula or a system to follow. He is a person we are in relationship with, leading us every day, step by step, as your baby takes their first steps, and breath by breath as they breathe in their first breaths. Take the pressure off yourself to have all the answers or to know what to do next. He will do the rest when you just rest in him.
Come on, preach. Lane, that's so good. And that's so crazy, because I'd prepared all these questions or topics, and that's the one thing that I hadn't prepared. I just felt to ask you. And so look at how the Lord went before and prepared the way, because new moms clearly needed to hear that. And you know, for those of you listening, and you're like, this girl can preach, she can preach. And she also just wrote a devotional book called Speak Your Name, which is really amazing too, even just with the birth story. Because I've always said, whatever I write, I'm challenged with. And when you were in the car and you're like, I can't even say it right now, you speak his name, but you still got the name of Jesus out there, and things shifted. It's incredible. Like, I mean, come on, God. Like, that's so crazy.
It's cool too, because before the book came out, I remember I was like, God, I like need some new, like I walked through stuff like 4 years ago, and I need some material.
Yeah,
he gave me some new material.
He's like, so what are you willing to walk through?
For real.
Hey, that's incredible. Well, Laney, you're such an inspiration to me and all the moms out there. Thank you for your advice to myself. As Christian and I prepare, and maybe while this podcast is out, she'll already be here, and I'll be listening back, getting all this new advice. But thank you, seriously, to all the moms out there. I know that they would say thank you. You're awesome. Ronnie Grace is beautiful. Clayton's a great dad, and we just love your family.
Thank you. We love y'all so much, and we're so excited for your sweet girl.
Woohoo! I'm surprised I will say, I was nervous. I was like, are we going to be able to make it through the podcast without one of us saying the name? I felt like one.
Oh, I know. I almost said it just now. I was like, we're so excited.
It's sweet girl. That's hilarious. Well, I love you. That was awesome. Yeah.
I love you. Thanks for asking me to do it. It was so fun.